And welcome back, guys. It is episode 4 of the Biblical Masculinity series that we've been diving into, pillar 4 of 6. So we've gotten most of the way through, and there's a handful of other topics that I want to get through after we've done the Biblical Masculinity series. So I'm going to stop saying that I'm going to keep these short and sweet, but I do want to remind everybody that's been listening along that I have mentioned that these last couple ones become very self-referencing, and this is where it becomes extremely obvious. But they are still things that we have to touch on, things we have to address. So without any further ado, let's get right into it.
I'll stand and fight for what I love and know is right. I'll carry on. I'll carry on.
This is the Watchmen, where men of God are forged for battle, with their senses sharpened by truth, hands trained for war, and hearts surrendered to the King. Welcome back. So as I mentioned, we are on the 4th pillar of biblical masculinity, and I'm not going to keep you guys from it too much. I don't have a lot of announcements to make. As you can see, the camera's been working just fine now. I've got a whole situation figured out. But my next big thing is going to be getting a stool that doesn't squeak with every weight shift. I don't know if you can hear it in the background. Yeah, it's not good. And then you're also going to hear me be kind of stuffy. I woke up this morning and the allergies are not cooperating with me today. Let's get this out of the way so I'm not just bumping it. There we go. A lot of unprofessionalism, but that's what you get. You get authenticity. So pillar number 4, we're going to hop right into it, not waste a lot of time. And as mentioned in the intro, a lot of this is very, very self-referencing from this point on. It's just because we have to lay the foundation, we have to lay the groundwork for what we are expected to do, what we are expected to be as biblical men, the way that the designer designed us, our divine design, as we have said before. Biblical masculinity is rooted in dominion, not domination. Now, there's going to be some people that say, "Well, that means the same thing." Sure, whatever. Like it's kind of like the words fragrant and smelly. Like they have the same denotation, right? Like a lot of smell, a lot of it stimulates your olfactory senses and it overwhelms you in some cases. But fragrant is the connotation of fragrancy is seen as something that's positive, right? Something that's like a perfume or a deodorant or one of those like humidifier mister thingies with oils in them. Whatever, it's fragrant. Smelly is some dude or me after I've gotten done in workout in the garage in 90 plus degree weather. That's smelly. Like they're similar denotations. It conveys both smelly and fragrant convey a lot of aroma, but the aroma itself is going to be what really determines whether it's a positive or a negative thing. So fragrant, smelly, same thing. Dominion, domination. It's you can argue they're the same thing. We can argue semantics and all that kind of stuff, but I want you to get the message, the message that's supposed to be conveyed, the message that we have to get across. Oh, it's itchy. I might cut that out. I might not. We'll see. So Genesis 1:28 is the core scripture that we're going to be looking at. And as always, I mention it every single time in case somebody hops in halfway through. We have, the way we've been going is we start off with the core scripture because everything we believe has to be rooted in scripture. Otherwise, it is not useful to us. And it is not laid on a firm foundation. Then from there, we go into what modern media calls the deep dive. So we go over the points that I've got kind of seen, kind of experienced, what I've witnessed over the last 20 years in ministry. We're going to go over today's standard. So what modern culture, what modern society tries to tell men that they should do, they should be, their attitudes they should take towards masculinity. And then we're going to go over the biblical standard one more time. And within today's standard, we're going to also include modern church standards as well. They have been infiltrated from external society, from a lot of mindsets and ideologies that do not align with biblical ideology, with what has been taught to us and said that is good by the Creator. So, and then from there, we're going to finish off with a practical action step. So just something that'll get you thinking about this specific pillar in a way that will start a habit, will start a lifestyle. And as we mention every single time, we don't need something big to happen. In previous pillars, we mentioned that something that a man has to provide is consistency, right? Because if you do something big every once in a while, it doesn't necessarily give the same message, lay the same foundation as something small done every single day. So build something small that you can act on today. You can develop into a habit over the course of a week, develop into a portion of your lifestyle, or shift your lifestyle to incorporate this daily habit so that you can then start changing yourself into a better man, into a more biblically masculine man. So, core scripture, Genesis 1:28. And God blessed them, and God said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, and to fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over every living thing that moves on the earth." So that's where we get this pillar. After he created humanity, the beginnings of humanity, then he says, "Go forth, be fruitful, multiply, and have dominion over creation." Right, well, that only talked about the animals. Keep reading. It talks about, "I've given you every plant. I've given you all these things, all the wheat, everything of the earth. So have dominion over creation." Now, what does it mean to have dominion? Well, to those academic scholars that think dominion and domination have the same definition, sure, but it's the connotation that we're going after. It's the message that's being conveyed. It's the message behind the actual definition that's being conveyed. Dominion and domination. We should all know domination, what that means. So, deep dive. Before the fall, dominion was God's gift and mandate to man and woman. Similar to what we talked about before, God gave man commandments, and he gave him a purpose specifically for him when he created him. God gave woman a purpose specifically for her when she was created. Now that purpose, that is a responsibility, that is a burden to bear over our shoulders. And when we let it down, we start to see everything start to fall apart. When we start operating outside of our design is when stuff starts to, when everything around us starts to wobble, starts to teeter, starts to become unstable. In the same way, having dominion is something that we have been mandated to do. Having dominion is part of God's design in man and woman. In humanity, having dominion over creation. Now, man is meant to have dominion over his home as well. He is meant to be the head of his home, as we have mentioned previously in one of the which one was it? Well, that's pretty much in every single one. Number 2 talks about reflecting Christ's leadership. That you're supposed to be the head, and in that sense as well, being a leader in your home. And the last one we talked about providing, defending, and bearing burdens, being the head in that sense. So this one's going to be extremely tied together, very similar to number 2, but it is different. I'll keep going on with the deep dive. So the mandate is a call to reflect his order, his wisdom, and creativity on earth. This word dominion has been abused by script, but Scripture clarifies its meaning. So I've seen a lot of Christianity. So a lot of Christian men who use their position as men, their position as the head of the house, to dominate. And I've seen countless women just die internally under the supposed leadership of these men. And these women, they just suffer silently. They're more honorable than the men that they serve. They're more honorable than the men that just head over them, that dominate them. And that is not what man is called to do. Man is called to cultivate. That is a mandate given to man before the fall, as we talked about in Pillar 1, to cultivate. You have to cultivate the environment in your home so that everything within that environment flourishes. And if your wife, the primary person you're supposed to be providing for, isn't flourishing, then you are not cultivating and you are failing in your divine mandate. And this word dominion. In other languages, it gets translated to dominion in this specific version of the Bible. I like reading the ESV, but again, I've talked about it before. It doesn't matter what version, if you know and understand how to go back to the original scriptures and translate from there. It's conveyed, dominion is conveyed as ruling over as a king. Now, being a king is a position of authority, is a position of leadership, but it is a position of servanthood. Being a king, being a leader, doesn't mean you are better than everybody else. Doesn't mean you hold more value. It means that you are the servant of those that you are the leader of. You are responsible for their well-being. You're responsible for cultivating an environment. In the sense of a king, policies, laws, mandates. You're responsible for everything that will cultivate an environment that will help either people flourish. And domination is not going to do that. True dominion is not about control or manipulation. It's about stewardship and responsibility, ruling over your people, as a just king would. God told Adam to subdue the earth, to cultivate, to build, to organize chaos into order. Men are builders by design. We are meant to create systems, lead teams, establish order in our homes, and fight back the chaos of the world through God-honoring work. We are called to call chaos into order. Our original mandate before the fall, so remember this, this mandate was given before the fall to Adam. You were to work and to keep. You are to cultivate, you are to labor, you are to serve. And you are to guard, protect, and watch over this which I have given to you. This garden I have given to you. Well, what garden? I don't see any gardens now. Your home. We talked about this in the first pillar. So if this should be, we could deep dive into this specific topic and make this podcast a whole lot longer, but I'm just going to refer to you to pillar number 1. Work and to keep. Call chaos into order. Build. Lead. Oh, well, I'm not a natural born leader. That doesn't matter. Leadership is a characteristic that can be developed. And if it isn't your personality, if it isn't in your character, it can still be developed. And this is something we're going to go into afterwards. The archetypes of man. Every single man should be capable of enacting all six. We're on 4 now. All 6 pillars of masculinity, and living within them and abiding by them. Every single man is called to do so. Now, there's other men's podcasts, and you say, "Oh, they have 3. Oh, this other person has 16." It doesn't matter. What you're going to see is, regardless of the number of steps, of bullet points, or whatever, how many other people have, the message, if they are biblically rooted, is going to be the same. And this is something that I have found, is I got all my notes down, I started putting everything together, started actually producing episodes, and then I started getting stuff in my feed about people actually talking about, I call them pillars, but they started talking about the actual bullet points of what a biblical man should be. And though they used different wording, their messaging was the same. Some people had 3 just right off the bat. Bam, bam, bam. This is what a man should be. Others there was one person that had like doubles. It was 3, but each one had 2, like a coin. One side and the other. It was really cool. I'll look for it, and then I might put it in the notes or whatever. In this chair. But every man should enact this. Every single man should be able to create systems. Well, what does that mean? It's starting in your home. Create systems of worship. Create intellectual systems so everyone's thriving that way. Create a system that makes it so that everybody spends time together outside of work, outside of going to a church. You're spending time as a family, creating systems, doing something to allow your family to flourish. Lead teams. Again, starting in your home, being able to lead your family, being able to lead your wife, being able to lead your kids. And then outside of there, cultivating. If you're called to cultivate, you're called to change an environment. You're called to change something, which means you have to lead in your work. Maybe you're not the head of a leadership team in your work, but you should be able to lead up the chain of command. Those who know that phrase will know who it comes from. Establish order in our homes and fight back the chaos of the world through God-honoring work. Again, referring back to pillar number 1. Domination, by contrast. So this is dominion. Now, domination is a distortion. It takes the strength God gave and twists it into oppression. What dominion creates, domination destroys. Regardless of how many dumb and stupid people tell you that men and women are exactly the same, they are not. We are not. And anybody who says so is immediately discredited in my mind. So men being the stronger vessel. This is talked about in the New Testament. So those of you who are saying, oh, this is the Old Testament. Men being the stronger vessel. If you use that strength to smother those around you, you are focused on domination. And you are not living within your divine design. You're not living within your divine mandates. You have placed your foundation over the sand, and a great fall is coming towards you. Dominion creates. It serves, it labors, and it cultivates. Domination tears down its own home with its own hands. that which he has been called to cultivate and to protect and to serve. Domination destroys. Again, I have seen men, supposed spiritual ministers, not just any ordinary man within a congregation, with no responsibility, with no eyes on him, with no knowledge of the word. Supposed teachers of the word. I've seen them smother their wives. I've seen it. And they go around acting like nothing is happening. They go around acting like they don't sin. They're the most spiritual being on the face of the earth. Like they can't be wrong. We've talked about this before in the second pillar. Dominion and domination. Jesus modeled this perfectly. As king, he reigns. As servant, he stoops to wash feet. True dominion leads with strength, restraint, with power under control for the good of others. Again, as the stronger vessel, we have to refrain our strength. With power under control. This is the true definition of meekness. There was a viral Jordan Peterson clip that explained that the biblical definition of meekness isn't just somebody who lets themselves be tossed around. It is somebody who knows how to use their sword but keeps it sheathed. And as I looked into this to verify, that is a good definition. And we have talked about this in the past as well. Again, going back to the second pillar, servant leadership. Having the strength, having the authority to send down legions of angels. Christ didn't do so. He took the cross. Meekness. In the same way as men, as the stronger vessel, we're not supposed to, again, not that we're not going to, we're not supposed to overpower. We're not supposed to dominate. We're not supposed to smash. We're not supposed to smother those under our care. Strength, refrained, control it. Here's a fun fact about me personally. I hate chihuahuas. Absolutely loathe them. Dumbest little rat animals ever. And it's not just like an aesthetic thing. They look dumb. It's not just that. It's just what's the word for this? Just the idea of them. The small, tiny little animal that thinks that just because it's barking, just because it's loud, just because it's going around attacking everybody, that it is the toughest little thing out there. I hate them. They're borderline untrainable. Now, there are specific dogs that I absolutely love because of their meekness. And of course, any untrained dog is garbage in my sight. And it's not the fault of the dog, it's the fault of the owner. Same with kids. Any kid that I dislike is not the fault of the kid, it's the fault of the parents. We'll get a completely different subject there. But while I absolutely despise Chihuahuas, there are certain dogs that are absolutely massive that are super gentle. I personally want a German Shepherd. And not just to have a dog. I haven't got a dog because I don't want to just have a dog for the sake of having a dog. I want to be able to spend time with the dog and like train it and have it protect my family. And that's the thing. A similar working kind of dog. Powerful bite strength. These dogs are used to chase down criminals, to subdue them with pain. Yet, when they're well trained, they can play with kids, they can play with toddlers. They will nuzzle infants, move them around. I've seen a dog, not personally, but I've seen one of these dogs herd toddlers away from danger. The same dog that can inflict pain so unbearable that criminals give up. They just lose their will to fight. Is the same dog that can play and hang around children. Doggo Argentino. Massive dog. A bite force so strong that you can't use those really fluffy suits people use to train German Shepherds. You can't use those with that dog. It'll crush straight through it and like just crush bones through that suit. Yet they are some of the most protective dogs of their families. Again, when trained properly, they can hang around kids, they can play with kids, they can nibble kids and nothing happens. Yet they can crush bones under bite suits. Strength refrained. That is meekness. That is what we are called to do. We are called to be an absolute menace to anything that threatens our garden. There was a pigeon on my light well. We are called to be an absolute menace to anything that threatens our garden. We're called to be soft, to be humble, to be meek, to have that power under control, have that strength under control with those we are called to care for. True dominion leads with strength refrained, with power under control for the sake of others. Again, going back to pillar number 2. Servant leadership. Today's standard. Dominion is misunderstood. In the world, it often looks like exploitation or control. In reaction, some churches swing too far the other way and discourage men from exercising authority at all, painting initiative and boldness as toxic. How many times have we heard that? Toxic leadership, toxic masculinity. We can go into that topic of how most men are being taught and led by women. And the feminization of men has led, and the over-feminization of men precedes the idea of toxic masculinity. So actually, feminine masculinity is what's actually toxic masculinity. And that's a whole other topic, though. I make a lot of people mad, and I don't care. Again, if they're not biblically rooted, I don't care about their opinion. So you can take a look at modern churches. Of course, modern society is all sorts of jacked up. It is swallowed the cancer pill that is feminism. It has swallowed the cancer pill that is rejecting biblical values. Even though that's what most of the West has been built on. So in churches, they go the other way because of this. Because they don't want to seem extreme. They don't want to seem uncomfortable to newcomers. And that's a whole other topic as well. The fact that most modern churches have enacted a system of only bringing new people in, but never of actually teaching deep, profound doctrine. So you get a lot of new people coming in, and that's all they're focused on, is attracting new people. And because in modern society, in modern culture, strong biblical masculinity is seen as toxic, they push it away to attract those new people. Then there's the other side of people who absolutely use their strength and authority to enact their will on those under their care. Both are wrong. Biblical contrast. God gave man dominion, not to crush creation, but to cultivate it. True dominion means stewardship, not selfishness. It builds systems, nurtures order, and leads with justice. Masculinity is meant to expand God's goodness, not personal gain. So the idea of meekness runs deep through this one, as I did with the second one. This pillar and number 2 are extremely intertwined. We are meant to hold dominion over creation. We're meant to lead, to cultivate. Not for our own personal gain. Not to enact authority over those around us. But to cultivate an environment and where those around us can flourish and will flourish. Take a look around. Take a look at the men that you most admire. The men that hold authority in your community, in your churches, in your neighborhoods. What kind of a man is he? And don't go based off what he says. Well, off of what he does, basing it off of what he does is a better step. But based on divine mandate, he should be cultivating those around him. So if you really want to know the nature, the character of a man, take a look at his wife first. No, but really take a look at her. Don't just glance over and say, oh, she's smiling. No, really look at her. Those who know enough about people, those who understand people enough, will know what to look for. If you don't know what to look for, just focus on building yourself. Focus on becoming a better man. But to men, and then also look at their kids. Does this man hold authority over his kids? Does he have their respect? Do they listen when he calls? If they don't, why would anybody else? Is he a servant king to his family? Where he holds authority, but he does it for their benefit, not his own. If he doesn't hold authority, that's a problem with it in and of itself. In most cases, if he doesn't hold authority over his wife, power under control with his wife holds the authority. His wife holds the power. His wife has the control. And I've seen it every single time. When this is the case, the kids don't respect him either because she steals his authority. If this happens to you, you've failed long before your divorce. Because it's going to happen. It's coming. I've seen it several times. I'm not talking about the secular world. I'm talking about within supposed Christianity. Where this man, whose wife rules over him, did not cultivate an environment where she could flourish, and she felt the need to take control. You have felt long before. You do not hold dominion over your garden. In fact, there's a really good chance you tried dominating. And the difference between this individual and somebody else who completely smothered their wife is just the character of the wife. Sometimes just the personality. But the root cause is the same. You tried dominating, not holding dominion. You tried forcing your authority, forcing your strength, not using it for their benefit. Masculinity is meant to expand God's goodness, not personal gain. And to close it off, we have a practical action step. Build something. That's it. Dominion. This week, look for an area where chaos is creeping in. Your schedule, your finances, your home, your spiritual disciplines. Create structure, set a plan, lead your family in one new habit. Start restoring dominion in one area of your life and use your God-given strength to bring order where there is confusion. That's it. Build something. You don't have to build a deck. You don't have to build a shed. Build order. That's it. Don't let chaos reign. And to show that I try to teach only what I have learned and what I have done everything in my power to act upon. I cleaned my yard yesterday. I didn't do it for this purpose. But as I'm talking, I'm like, oh yeah, I did that. I replaced the sprinkler head. I got rid of some grass to make sure the nozzle can pop up on a different sprinkler head. I dug a small trench to make sure that some pipe was running through to get a new sprinkler head in. Picked up a bunch of garbage, threw it away. With my business, I have access to a dump trailer, so I almost filled it completely up. Cultivating order. I did let it get too far. Like it got messy. But it's clean now. Cultivate or build something. And again, it doesn't have to be like an actual building. Just build something. I'm using the example of actual physical labor and actual physical cultivation of the horticultural spaces. That's a fancy word, isn't it? But it could be in your home as well. Another example I can give is just get in the habit of reading every night with your family. Again, like I don't think my almost 3-year-old is gonna understand the cultural context of Greek and modern society, of Greek, of a verse in Greek and how it applies to that time and how it can be applied to this time. But what she will get is the fact that at night I'm opening my Bible and I'm reading. She has her own books that she reads. Right now she's just infatuated with Pete the cat. But she's reading. She's building that habit. As she's getting ready for bed, she's singing. So these habits build something. Again, I apologize for all the sniffling. My allergies are out of control this morning. Your schedule. If you have tons of dead space in your schedule, do something positive with it. I'm currently working on my phone habits. Now, a lot of my research is done on my phone because our modern day phones are supercomputers. In the past, where you had to buy stacks of books to be able to have the information of original Greek context of specific words in the Bible, now you can Google it. Now, I don't want to say Google it because it's not Google that I use to actually find to translate and expand on the information. I use the appropriate resources, but I use Google to get to those resources. Now I have to start cutting back on the actual phone usage so that my daughter doesn't see, oh, phones are what we do. Which goes back to the whole pulling out an actual leather-bound paper Bible. Your finances. Are your finances getting out of control? Get them under control. There's tons of free resources online that you can use. Cultivate order in your garden. I think I remember reading a stat that 90% of 90% of marriage issues happen because of money problems. So if you're called to cultivate order within your home, within your marriage, get rid of the biggest issue for most marriages. Your home and spiritual disciplines. Your home. My wife was asking for shelves for a really long time over the dryer because there was dead space. I got the shelves installed. If you're super handy, you're like, oh, that's not a big deal. It isn't. The point is that there was a mess there. She was asking for shelves to be able to organize better. I installed the shelves. Now she can organize a little bit better. Cultivating order. It doesn't have to be something big. As I said in the beginning, small action step that you can do over and over and over, so that it doesn't just become something. It doesn't become a task on a checklist. It becomes a mindset that you're acting upon. Now, all these examples are stuff that I have touched on personally. So it's going to gravitate more towards older or married men. But if you're single, these should still be very similar in nature. In the future, when you get married, you are called to be the head. We talked about it in the last episode of the podcast. You are called to provide. That doesn't just mean a paycheck. That means provide in all aspects of life. So right now that you should have a lot of time, or more time. Because trust me, when people say you lose a lot of time when you get married and when you have kids, it's not that you're losing it. It's just that your priorities change. And the time that you had for all these random activities, they're gone. Again, not in a bad way. People make it seem like it's a bad thing. I've given up backpacking. I've given up starting to develop bushcrafting skills. I don't want to say I've given them up. I still have the knowledge. I still have some practical application that I do here in my yard every once in a while. But my focus is my family. My focus is my wife and my kids. And if I had to give it up, if I still had it and I had to give it up tomorrow, I would do it again for my wife and my kids. Going back to providing mental and emotional stability. So if you're not married, if you don't have kids, still develop the skills, build the skills that are going to prepare you for marriage. In the same areas that we talked about. Create structure. Create a routine. Right now, morning routines have gone viral. And some ridiculous ones have really hit it off. So lead your family. If you're not the leader of a family yet, start developing leadership skills. Start understanding human nature. Start understanding how to be a leader. Start, your finances. If you have a habit of just wasteful spending, stop it. Start cultivating order in that area as well. That doesn't mean don't spend on anything. You can spend, just do it mindfully. Right? It is my personal belief that no man should be spending money unnecessarily through video games. Right, the whole pay-to-win kind of thing. Stop it. No. Oh, look, the skin was on sale. That's stupid. Stop it. If games are your hobby, cool. Whatever. Like, that's your hobby. Do that. But don't, like, that's as far as it should go. Your home. Take a look around you. I'm naturally messy. If you know me, I have organized piles. But again, stuff that I'm working through, stuff I'm working on. Especially because my wife is so organized and it bothers her. So again, for provision of mental peace, I do what I can to try to stay clean, stay organized. I'm clean. I'm just not organized. Spiritual disciplines. Again, going back to provision, you are called to provide. You're called to be the head of your household. And in being the head, you have to lead spiritually. And if your spiritual life is out of whack, you're not going to be able to lead your wife and your kids into theirs. Or through theirs, I should say. Salvation is personal. Each person has to seek it individually. But as the head of your house, you should create the environment where they can do so and flourish in it. So, as a younger person, as an unmarried person without kids, those are two separate things, unmarried and without kids. There's steps to it. There are things you can do now to cultivate order, to hold dominion over your life, to hold dominion over your current garden, and things you can do to be preparing for the next step. Things you can do to start cultivating order in the sense order for your next garden in the sense that you are preparing resources so that when you enter that garden, you have the resources available so that you can immediately cultivate order. Immediately is kind of it doesn't happen immediately. Wrong words usage. But so that you are prepared to start enacting and creating and building. So go out there. Have dominion over your garden. Don't dominate. Use your strength for the benefit of others. Be a servant king. That's all I have for this episode. With how young the channel is, YouTube won't let me place external links. So, if you, I said on a previous one I was going to add our little Instagram thingy. So, I'm going to just put it on the screen somewhere. It's at the Watchmen podcast. So, everything's named the same. For purposes of being consistent, right? So, if you have Instagram, go ahead and follow us there. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comments. As I saw a dude give us grief in the last one, and I have no idea what he was saying, so I'm not even going to entertain it. I think there's stuff going on with his mind. But anyways, this is the Watchmen. Stay awake. Stay faithful. Stand your post.